Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another Adventures in Truth livecast. My name is Jim Case. I am the host of the show, and I am excited today for another excellent adventure. Today, we're having another conversation with Moshe, and this conversation is going to be an interesting one. It's all about self-awareness, and we're kind of combining, talking about what both of our messages are today, and Moshe just released a newsletter about the idea of awareness. And we're going to talk about it today for the whole show. I'm excited to dive into this topic because I think that understanding self-awareness is an important part of the whole thing that we all talk about, you know, and what is this self-awareness stuff and how much energy do I have to put into it? And you know, I was reading a post yesterday. A guy was asking that he had done all the reading. He had read all the books and done all the research and understood what this idea of self-awareness was, has an understanding of what it is. Now, how do we actualize it? And that, of course, took up pages of responses. But I thought, what a great question, because that's really where we get stuck, I think. We get too mental about what self-awareness is, and we try to contrive it rather than being. We get into too much doingness about it. So anyway, we're going to have a great conversation about that. I'm excited to have Moshe on. He'll be here in just a moment. And in the meantime, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be back right after this. All right. Fear is a Choice book. First commercial of the day. My book. Whoops, got papers and things. Here's a Choice, Unraveling the Illusion of Our Separation from Love. Guys, this has been out for about 6 months, doing well. I'm excited. Thank you so much for all of you who have purchased the book. I would love to hear from you about your experience of the book and the things you're learning in your experience about the book. I can tell you that it's an extraordinary book. And the reason I say that is because what I know is that it can change your relationship with fear. So head over to www.fearisachoicebook.com and you can learn more about the book. You can look at some testimonials. You can look at some video, and the links for Amazon and Barnes & Noble and Kindle and IndieBound are all there. You can directly order through those links. So www.fearisachoicebook.com. Check it out. You'll love it. Thanks. All right, we have got the year of conscious creation. Here we are, the movement. This is the movement. You've seen me all over Facebook, all over social media about the movement, and this is the movement. The movement doesn't require anything from you except your energy, your focus, and your intention and intention. Not looking for your emails, not looking for your money, not looking for you to join a super secret group. This is about all of us diving into this movement of the year of conscious creation. This is a self-proclaimed year of conscious creation because I think it's time for us to step up. I think as individuals, it's time for us to step up to create the change that we desire in the world. And what that looks like in primarily is, let's all focus together on creating the world we want. And that's where my world is good is coming from. My world is good is a neutral positive statement that when you incorporate it into your world, and I say your world specifically because you are responsible for what you are creating. You are the only one who can create your world, and you are the only one who can change your world. So incorporating my world is good creates this energy within our worlds that we can then harmonize on, that we can unify in that energy of my world is good. And all it takes is putting energy and attention, feeling it, speaking it, feeling it some more. My world is good. My world is good. My world is good. 10 times when you wake up, 10 times before you go to bed, and any time throughout the day that you think about it. Just put it out there. Get that energy moving through your energy cycle and begin to see what changes in your perception as you begin to experience the goodness in your world. And then notice how, as more of us do that, we create this powerful momentum and this tipping point in the consciousness of our planet that is about changing from a negative focus to a positive focus. My world is good. My world is good. So I encourage you, tell your friends, share this everywhere, tell everybody about it. But join the movement because it'll make a huge difference in your world. And again, thank you for that. And we'll see you on the other side. We're going to bring Moshe in and say hi. All right. All right. Good morning, Moshe. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
Doing well.
Good.
Doing well. Good to see you. Good to be back.
Good to see you as well. You were out of focus a little bit with your just a touch.
I see that. I was having a bad connection, so I shifted things, and
it'll tune in. I can hear you beautifully though, and I can still see you fine. You
okay. Say, I'll flip my camera off and on for a second.
Okay. Oh, see if it'll focus. It'll readjust as you move a little. It'll readjust to you, I think.
Okay.
It'll eventually find you. All right, here we are. We're going to talk about self-awareness, and this is going to be a fun conversation, I think. So you just, I saw you just put out your newsletter for the week, which is all about self-awareness, which is very cool. And as we were talking a bit yesterday, just sort of unfolding this, I'm at a loss for words. So the idea of self-awareness, let's start with your perception and your understanding of what self-awareness looks like. I know you had in your newsletter, you have like 6 bullet points about ways to dial into self-awareness. And I was thinking we could use that a little bit later. But either way.
Yeah, I think of self-awareness pretty simply as know yourself, really know yourself. So you recognize what motivates you, recognize why you do things. You can choose to like it or not like it, but at least you know it. And I think it's important because we see, for example, so many political leaders who seem very unattached from themselves, or denying what's true. Like, for example, politicians whose sole motivation is to maintain their status or make sure they get reelected.
Yep.
But they don't say so, and many are likely have been repeating that propaganda themselves so long they're likely to believe it and not be self-aware of what's really behind it.
Yeah, it's an interesting point because I think as I observe the world too, it's incredible to me how unaware people are of their own dynamic, of their own experience, of their own thought process. That it's that easy for someone who holds a negative focus to influence so many people because they are unwilling to think their own thoughts. They're unwilling to, and I'm going to be a little harsh about it because I think that the absence of self-awareness is literally criminal. I think it's criminal because how is it okay for you to be so completely irresponsible about the choices that you're making that you're blaming or attributing those choices to someone else's made up thought process? So not only is the crap you're spewing bullshit, but the place you got it from is bullshit, and the place they got it from is bullshit. And we're continuing to propagate that, which is completely the antithesis of self-awareness to me.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize I was going here, but here I am.
Yeah. Lots of strong feelings.
Got
Lots
my
of
fire
passion.
got my fire going in there.
I see that. I see that.
So probably this is not because I got the fire going, but this is a great place to take a break, and let's do some meditation here, and let's get some focus going, because this is going to be a good conversation. It's you got me going already. Here we go.
All right.
So we'll see you on the other side. We're going to take a moment here to do a little focusing. All right, guys. So what is this about? So the focus portion of this for me is that every show, I want us to come together energetically. And I feel like, and then the second part of that is I like to put my money where my mouth is. The third part of that is I want to support a daily practice for everyone. And whether it's just this 5 minutes that you get to do this, this is a beginning. This is a place to start. So we're going to start by focusing our energy, and then we're going to use some breath, because breath for me is the foundation of life. And when you learn how to manage breath, you learn how to manage energy. And we're doing a show about self-awareness. So, hey, let's get self-aware, right? So what I'm going to have you do is we're going to breathe in through the nose and out through the mouth. That will be our breath pattern: in through the nose, out through the mouth. And as you do that breathing, just begin to feel your feet on the ground. If you're sitting or standing or laying down, just get comfortable in the breath. So breathing and letting your body move and adjust to settle into where your breath is, in through the nose and out through the mouth. And now gently close your eyes wherever you are. Please don't close your eyes if you're driving, but close your eyes and bring your awareness into your heart space, into the center of your chest. Just being in awareness of this amazing energetic space in your being. And just be there for a bit. And as you're breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth, I want you to just become aware of your energy, your field. That is the energy that expands from you, that emanates from you in all directions. You are a giant field of energy that has this point of focus in a physical body. But most of you is out here in the field. This is just focusing you so that you can use this energy to move you through this physical world, this time and space reality. And that's where self-awareness begins. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Become aware of your field. Become aware of the enormousness of you. And as you're paying attention to that field, become aware of the dimension within the field. What do I mean by that? Well, within the field, there are all over the place, there are these pockets of energy. There are these areas of densifying energy that's more, that's becoming more solid, right? So as we have thought and energy come together, we begin, the more we think a thought, the more we feel a feeling, the more we focus into a specific energy, the more that energy condenses. But also throughout the course of our lives and the course of our day and the course of our hour, we are consumed, or parts of our energy are consumed by the things that are happening in our world. A lot of times it's nothing more significant than a barking dog or a air conditioning noise or a door shutting or a car driving by. But then you get into the denser stuff. So relationship things, work things, identity things, feeling things, crisis things. They just linger. They hang in your energy, and you may have found ways to not attend to them. But if you haven't resolved them and they're there, then they're constantly taking from your field. So why is that important? Well, because it leaves less energy for you to focus into you, because your energy is tied up in these thought constructs, in these emotions. So as you're breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth, I want you to focus again into that heart space. And I want you to command your field, all of your field. I want you to command it into your body, because I want you to experience you from the inside. So pulling that amazing, enormous field, bringing it into your heart space. and leaving all that debris in its spot. Just leave it there. If it's important, it'll be there when we're done. If it's not, then you can let it go. It can dissipate. It can move on. It can leave your field and leave you more energy. So pulling that energy into your field, I want you to begin to experience the inside of you. Just let that consciousness roam around. So you're in your heart. I want you to go up in your neck and into your head. I want you to experience just whatever that is. Some are visual, some smell things, some see things, some experience things, they sense things. However it works for you, it's all good. Just be in that experience as you're inside your head, inside your sinuses, and behind your eyes. And you're traveling around the brain, taking a peek into the pituitary and checking out all the grooves and all the amazing apparatus in this brain. And as you're traveling around and you're in the fluid of the brain and you come around to the back, into the brainstem, into the spinal cord where they come together, and then experience this extraordinary spinal cord, this extraordinary nerve that sits in fluid surrounded by bone with these amazing nerves that radiate off of this and reach into every part of your body. And as you do, you reach in through your torso and you begin to experience all of what's happening in your body, the organs, the tissue, the blood vessels, the nerves, the blood, the fluid, the organs, all doing everything that they can do, all in harmony. Begin to notice that. You have systems, multiple systems, skeletal system, endocrine system, nervous system, blood system, cardiovascular system. There's systems all over your body, muscular system, that are working in harmony, that allow you to move through this physical time and space reality with relative freedom. And if there's places where you feel a little discomfort, focus that breath and just expand it and let it dissipate. Let it open up a little bit. And now bring all of that awareness as you've let this consciousness travel through your body, bring it back and focus it into the heart and particularly into the breath. And now we're going to do a counted breath process. We're going to inhale to a count of 4. We're going to rest at the top in fullness. And then we're going to release and purge all of that energy and air out of the mouth to a count of 6. Because I want you to pull all of that old stale energy and air out of the body and give it away, surrender it, let it be cleansed again. Because you're going to then rest in the emptiness, preparing for the new energy you're choosing to pull into your experience. And then you re-engage those lungs. You inhale to 4, you rest, you purge to 6, you rest. So here we go. Focusing in the breath into the heart space, deeply connected to self. Inhaling to a count of 4, inhaling, 2, 3, 4. And we're resting in full at the top, relaxing the shoulders and neck. And now consciously releasing through the mouth, 2, 3, 4, purging, 5, 6. And now take a moment to rest in the void, preparing, being in reception. You are in the receptive space. Engage the lungs, call the air, inhale, 2, 3, 4, feeling that amazing fullness, relaxing its shoulders down, feeling good, feeling full, feeling rich, and consciously choosing to surrender it right now. Let it go. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You've purged all of that energy and air, and you're now sitting in receptivity. You're sitting in a void space, allowing and awaiting for the new energy that you're calling. Inhaling. 2, 3, 4. Feel that beautiful fullness. Feel the coolness of the air. Feel it warmth as it moves through your body. And rest in that beautiful feeling as you then choose to surrender and purge. 2, 3. As you exhale. 4, 5, 6. And now resting in the void, resting in that empty space, ready to receive. As you continue on your own, inhaling. Continue that breath cycle as you let that air fill in 360 degrees and you reach the top, feeling full, feeling rich, feeling amazing and relaxed. And then choosing in this moment to surrender all of that for the next moment. Surrendering it, letting it flow easily and cleanly from you. knowing that you will get into a new place of receptivity and you will open to new energy. Continue that breath process and that cycle on your own and take in these words. Just let them wash over you, filling the spaces. I am the evolution of God realized as matter. I inform and guide that expression as the pure expression of God. I show up as God. I connect as God. I align as God. I am creation realized, and from that, I create, I expand, I engage. I am. And feel that amazing breath just fill you. Keeping that focus. And now gently and clearly and consciously release your energy. Don't force it, don't push it. Just continue to breathe. And as you breathe, feel your energy expanding again back out into its magnificence. But notice the brilliance of your energy now. Notice the light of your energy now. It's full of all of this opportunity, full of all of this potential that you have created by choosing the process of breath. Let that energy expand and bring yourself back into this space. And we're going to bring Moshe back into the space as well as we continue our conversation. Is he there? There, he's there. He's clear and everything. Hi. and welcome back. Welcome back. And here we are. So just a little exercise in self-awareness.
Thank you. That was a nice meditation.
That was a good one. All right. So
yeah.
Let's
You made very clear. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Just simply watching our breathing is a step in self-awareness.
Exactly that. And it's a good place to start because as we go into exploring self-awareness now, so the things that you and I have a lot of conversations and I always love the conversations in both directions but you tend to reflect back to me a lot about my awareness of the minutia of my experience because it's important to me. It's become over time. I say this in the when I talk about the movement, I'm the only one that can create my life. I'm the only one that can change my life. I'm the only one who people can have influence, but ultimately it's coming from here. So if I don't understand or have a relationship here, then what am I creating? What am I creating as aware? Am I reflecting who I am, or am I reflecting who all the other people in my life are? Because I'm parroting that experience, which again is not self-awareness. It's an awareness, but maybe not self-awareness.
Yeah, I think it comes down to, do we know where it's coming from? And most of us think thoughts that are not ours most of the time.
Yes.
And that can be okay if we are consciously doing it. So to me, the key elements of self-awareness is being conscious of what we're doing. So there might be people who choose to do evil acts with full self-awareness. I don't think it's terribly common, but that's different than when there's no connection between what am I doing and the action. So I think the two key components are that consciousness and responsibility. Because how can anyone be responsible for their actions if it's not sourced from themselves and they're not aware of it?
Beautiful. And I think too, the other element I would add is connection, meaning, and I think you get there through the consciousness, but the connection to the greater part of ourselves, or to the expanded part, to all that field, that greater part of who we are, that is not limited to seeing, tasting, touching, feeling, or hearing, but is the part of us that is experiencing. And the self-awareness, as we talked about before we went into the meditation, and I was getting some passion going, the idea of lack of self-awareness is criminal. The more I sit in that, the more important that is to me. Because as I think about the idea of self-awareness in the context of what we think and what we believe. Very little of what we believe is sourced through us initially. When you start becoming aware of there's more, when you become aware of the flow and energy and all that good stuff, there is this sort of disconnect because you don't recognize the levels of the depths of the belief systems. I think that the part, sometimes people think that, oh yeah, I get that from my mom. And we write it off and we don't think about it, that particular behavior or that particular part of ourselves, not realizing that it's not just there. It doesn't stop there. There is a whole line of connective tissue that brought you to that place. And you are now simply mirroring a belief system that is much greater than anything you could imagine, but it also has nothing to, it has nothing to do with you. It is what you've attached to form identity. It is not who you truly are. Because we come into a family, we come into a circumstance, we're born into a situation, an environment that has a mom typically and a dad and maybe a sibling and other things that are influencing our perception of ourselves. And so self-awareness becomes, to me, absolutely critical to being successful in your own life, because you can look at it from any direction, and it always seems to be the case. Those who are not aware become successful and then lose their success or become greatly unhappy because they didn't find them in the process. They just found another story that has nothing to do with them. So does that make sense? Did I connect those dots right?
Well, yeah. It makes a lot of sense. I think the really interesting challenge is culture is here to tell us how to be. And we're raised in families to tell us how to be. Mm. And then it makes life easier to know, and religion does that. It says, okay, here's the rules, this is right, this is wrong. Mm-hmm. Do this, don't do that. If we have to figure all that out on our own in the absence of any guardrails or guidance, it's really difficult. So I think there's a benefit to having a pattern, I guess, to follow. Mm-hmm. The key is to recognize when that pattern is in conflict with what's true within us. And that's where the self-awareness comes in. And if I think of religious or spiritual leaders who've had great influence, like Jesus or Gandhi, for example, or Mother Teresa, they all stood up to the status quo and said, yeah, the pattern is not right. It doesn't, and there was enough self-awareness to know that. So I think that it can be a little tricky because there are benefits to having a culturally generated pattern to follow. Can you fix that?
Interesting. Well, that's interesting. I'm sitting here wondering if I agree with that. Because what if we weren't encultured from the beginning? What if we were encouraged to express this, whatever this is? But that it seems to get very convoluted. Because as you were talking, what I was thinking about was interesting. So maybe the rules of the time and space reality are the rules, as it were, that this transition from non-physical to physical, it does require an environment in order to integrate the environment. Meaning, you coming from non-physical to physical is a big transition. So maybe the idea of having that circle there is just to get you acclimated to this new environment. And we've taken that acclimation way too far. And so it's not only just about protecting the little person in this new world, but suddenly it's about molding that person instead of just creating the playground, create the playground and then continue to expand the playground as they grow, as they learn, as you influence them in their experience, as opposed to indoctrinating them into the human experience.
Yes.
Where I think that's where it's kind of gone awry, is we've gone from indoctrination, which is completely the antithesis of self-awareness. And so we get indoctrinated for however many years that goes on till we wake up and go, this is crazy. What am I doing? And then you're undoing however many years, undoing in the sense that you have to unravel all of that as part of your own self-awareness process, because however many years you've been into that process, or the layers of the onion that get peeled along the way to get you back to the essence of who you are.
Yeah, that's a beautiful distinction. That makes a lot of sense. And I think, and the two words you use at the outset, time and space, the time-space reality that our physical bodies are in, maybe that's what necessitates the rules, so to speak. Because we need to know we're being in a time-space reality means there are these boundaries. There's these limits for our physical beings. And then we have to learn, well, how do we exist within them? But I like your distinction between, I don't remember what word you used, but you were contrasting it with being indoctrinated.
Yeah.
And that's, yeah. And that's where it goes awry when we're indoctrinated and we're told, think this way, this is versus it's kind of like when I work in my consulting work, a lot of it is with creative teams, ad agencies and so on, to build messages or campaigns for example, for selling medical technology. And one of the things we do is say, how do we enable creativity and give parameters? And the way we do it is we say, when people see this, we want them to think this and feel this and do this. So here's our think, feel, do objectives. And now, but it doesn't dictate exactly how to do it.
Gotcha. So we got Jackie chimed in. I want to put this up here. Sometimes you grow up in a no culture format at all. It does happen. Thank you, Jackie, for that. And I see the point that all over the world there are very different ways that people are brought onto the people come onto the planet, and very different environments. And I'm sure that there are, and I know there are because I've met some of them, but parents particularly who have chosen not to go the indoctrinated route, but have chosen specifically to let their child kind of unfold and look for ways to support them in that process. I don't know that one's good, one's bad, one's, one positive, one negative. It's just, this is all about getting to self-awareness, and the indoctrination process is not about self-awareness. So at some point you have to bring self-awareness to that so that you can begin to understand it better. But we're going to take a quick break. We're going to go to commercial. When we come back, we're going to have Moshe chat with you for a second, tell you about what's going on in his world. And we're going to carry on this great conversation about self-awareness. And we're going to talk specifically about how can I start to explore self-awareness in useful ways. So we're going to do that on the other side, and we'll be back right after this. Yay, if I can find my button. Me and my buttons. All right, we'll be right back.
Science of transformation method, and I can't tell you the difference that it's made in my life.
This program is all about you coming into the greatest form of you. All right, y'all, www.thesciencetransformation.com. If you would like to learn more about working with me one-on-one or in groups, I have an amazing program called The Science of Transformation, and it's all geared to the same thing that everything else is, and and that is about transforming the experience of fear in your life, but also transforming your experience of you in this world and beginning to reframe your experience so that you can begin to move in the direction that you want to move in, released from those constructs that we were talking about just a little bit ago, those indoctrinated aspects of our being that keep us from being as self-aware as we might want to be. So www.thesciencetransformation.com, check it out. There's some videos there. There's lots of information. You can reach out about an introductory package, and you can also reach out for a free consult to have a conversation with me, and let's see if this work together is what you're looking for. I do this work both in person and I do it remotely, and both have been ridiculously successful, and happy to direct you to some of my clients that I've worked with in the past. So www.sciencetransformation.com, check it out. And let's dive back in here with Moshe, and we'll be right back on the other side. All right, we're going to turn it over to Moshe here for just a few minutes. I want you to see his book, The Amare Wave, Uplifting Business by Putting Love to Work. Extraordinary book. He's got newsletters going out all the time, and he's working with businesses now. It's an incredible, and powerful wave that you need to get a part of to bring love back into business. So I'm going to turn this over to Moshe, and we'll see you in a minute. Have at it, Moshe.
All right. Thanks, Jim. A lot of what I do really focuses on self-awareness. In my coaching and consulting work, fundamentally, it comes down to helping good leaders know themselves and understand their motives, what drives them, what triggers them, all that stuff, so they make conscious decisions. So self-awareness is one of the keys. Another one is this idea of attachment. And I write about this in my book quite a bit, that in our society, we're taught to have attachment to outcomes. And our self-worth is tied into it. Did I make that money? I'm good. If not, it reflects on my worth as a person. And I think that doesn't work for us human beings. So I recommend this idea of unattachment, where we aspire to certain goals, to certain outcomes. We do our best to achieve them. And we're the same whether we achieve them or not, whether we're quote unquote successful or not. It's a really powerful idea, this notion. It's more of a Buddhist, Hindu notion, an Eastern notion of unattachment. And it is so powerful. So between dealing with those two things, awareness on one end and attachment on the other, those are foundational to my work. And my goal is to uplift leaders, uplift their businesses by putting the power and energy of love. Excuse me, by putting the power and energy of love to work.
Very cool. www.theamarewave.com, information about the book, and also his company ResearchWorks, www.researchworks.com. Check it out. I love how clear and just the message is just pours off of you so clearly. It's wonderful. I like that a lot. All right. So we are back to, go ahead. You were going to say?
No.
So we were in, go ahead.
No.
Oh, okay. Nothing. I thought you were
Just looks like I have something to say.
All right. So we were talking about exploring and now cultivating self-awareness. And let's talk a little bit about how do we go about that? How does one become or start to become more self-aware? And I think you talked about it a little in the piece you just talked about there. I mean, primarily is to start paying attention, to start noticing what motivates what you do. And I think it happens in the natural course of things. I think that regardless of your level of consciousness, as it were, I think that my life experience has been that even when I wasn't as aware as I may be now, that I was constantly creating circumstances to bring me into awareness of what I was doing or how I was responding or how I was acting or how I was feeling. I remember in my 20s when I was still wrestling with tons of arrogance and confusion about how big my energy is and how intense my energy is, that I would regularly create these circumstances where people would lose their mind in my space because I thought I was doing something useful, or I thought I was being nice because I was sharing a truth, something, because the good news, bad news, even as a young person, the intuition for me was always very connected, but the delivery was not. So you get those moments where you see something and you go, oh, well, let me share this with you. And you go, and the person on the other end of that share is going, who the heck are you? Because when you don't have the experience to back up the understanding, there's a different approach. There's a different way to do that. But when you assume something and then you roll ahead with it, but that is where the self-awareness begins. You start to notice, wow, that didn't create what I thought it was going to create. Why? And taking it back to self, taking it back to the challenge I think that we also have, as we were talking about indoctrination, is that we are not always trained or taught to look to self first. There's more the idea of blame. You did that, it caused me to feel this, therefore it's your fault. Instead of, oh, I'm having a reaction to what you just did. What's my reaction about? Why am I having that reaction? And then peeling the layers of that response and that reaction. So that's my starting point, I think. But I'm curious and would love to hear where your starting point is.
Yeah, well, two things. One, in response to what you just said about translating things into blame, I think it goes the other direction too, where we are often taught that what we're feeling is wrong. So like a kid in school might be unhappy doing whatever they're doing, and the teacher says, you should be happy. We're studying something important. You should enjoy this. And the kid is thinking, well, inside it doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel right. Something must be wrong with me. I better numb that. I better shut that down because the teacher says I should feel good. I should be happy.
Yeah.
So there's that notion too, where I think we're by nature self-aware. Think of little babies, they're very self-aware. Well, something doesn't feel good, I'm going to cry. So I need a clean diaper, I need food, I need sleep, whatever it is.
Yes.
Expression of the need. But then we teach kids, be quiet. Don't, whatever it is. And that teaches us to disconnect from our awareness of self. So that's where a problem comes in. I think it starts as I'm thinking of the meditation you led. It starts with our breath. If we can just simply feel our breathing, that's tuning in. That's an aspect of self-awareness.
Yes.
I feel this air going in and going out.
Beautiful and great foundational place to start. And I found myself preoccupied with the concept of God when you were talking. And it occurred to me that is also a place that self-awareness has to be initiated. We are largely entrained into a version of God that doesn't exist within us, and that we have to work to be worthy of, or we have to, whatever it is, the belief system is that we have to be, in order to be in that relationship. And I believe, and it is my personal experience, that self-awareness doesn't begin in earnest until you recognize that you are the spark of that God. You are that God living in this world. And you may not get it too completely. I'm saying it in a very definitive way because that's my life experience. But when that starts to churn in you, I remember so clearly as a younger person sitting in that environment questioning, why are they saying this? Because I'm having a relationship. Even as a young person, I'm having a relationship with God on a daily basis. And this structure is trying to tell me that my relationship is incorrect. And I'm saying, no, what do you mean it's incorrect? It's what's happening in me. How can that be more important than what's going on here? And as a young person, that was a battle, because to be able to see it, but then be able to go, no, you can't take this. You go do something with that, but you can't take this. I feel really blessed in that regard, because somehow in my wiring, it was never an option to surrender that relationship ever. But I want to bring it up, and I bring it here because I think it's important to recognize it drives me crazy when I see people stand in public forums and go, I thank God for this thing that I could never have done without God. I could never have won this award without God. I'm like, hello? Who's receiving the award? Hello? Hello? Anybody home? You did the work. Hello? Oh my God, it makes me nuts because God didn't do it. You did. You did it. And you are God. Therefore, you are that, right? You are that. And when that becomes a part of your self-awareness, it changes your world because you're no longer beholden to anyone or anything because you're not anyway. That's another piece of a huge piece of self-awareness. But bring it home. So I say that again, not to berate people, and I know I get intense about it, but it's purely out of love and a desire for us to recognize that we are that, and that piece of self-awareness is the core to unraveling so much of the indoctrinated stuff. Again, from my experience, I'd be curious, and this is an interesting conversation too, because Moshe came up in the Jewish faith. I came up in the Catholic faith. So this is a very different, that's a very different experience. So I'm curious what your thoughts are about that little piece.
Well, it's similar. I grew up with the idea of God out there, old white guy with the beard judging us and generally punishing us. And then I chose to reject that in my, I guess, teenage years when I was in college and started to meditate and learned about other belief systems. And over time, it shifted to where my belief now is God is within me, within all of us. And I was debating about sharing this or not. This thing that came to me as God and I were chatting last night. And what was it? It was the whole idea that it was about sickness. I'm thinking of some work we're doing with one of the large cancer centers in the United States, and recognizing they're very effective with helping people with cancer. And I'm realizing, so I was saying to God, "Where are you? I can't find you." And the answer was, "Right here. Who do you think you're talking to?" "Yeah, but I can't feel you." Or you.
Right in the middle.
Even in cancer. Sorry?
Go back 2 sentences because your camera froze. So you were talking about God and you were leading to God going but I have cancer or
that the awareness that the message I got that God is present even in things like cancer, and it is a wake-up call to become self-aware.
Yeah.
And then I realized, well, everything is. If I walk on the beach,
sorry, go ahead.
That even when I walk on the beach and see a beautiful sunset, that's an opportunity to be self-aware. But self-awareness, the way I'm talking about it and the way you were just talking about it, involves a connection with God or spirit. So it's not just here's me, it's me within the context of that connection. That's different than how self-awareness is usually discussed.
Yes, I agree. And it's so cultivating. So now cultivating is about how do I enrich this earth, this stuff that I'm creating, this foundation that I have, so that the plants that grow, the things that come up are all contributing to this idea of self-awareness. And I think Moshe and I are talking about things like meditation is a great place to start, because just connecting to your breath is a huge transformation. Connecting to a part of you that you have been unconscious of is the whole part of self-awareness. So breath is great because breath will continue to happen in your life. You're going to breathe. But when you learn how to consciously breathe, it's a whole different animal, but it's a great way to do it because you get to see the unconscious and the conscious experience simultaneously. You can see that when you do nothing, your body will breathe. But when you consciously choose to breathe, it creates a whole new dimension of experience. It shifts your state. It spins your vibration up. It does all kinds of amazing things that when you go there and allow it to unfold, will literally blow your mind. So that's, the cultivating again is also to me is also stopping to ask the question. So, and what I mean by that is I get ahead of myself in concept here. I start talking and then the concept goes and my words don't match. So I have to stop a second. So you're having an interaction with someone and something goes negative in that interaction. It's a perfect place to stop in self-awareness, because if you are experiencing negative emotion, you are having a response to whatever's taking place, and you should understand that response. And you may not be able to do it in the moment. You may have to do it in hindsight initially so that you can sit in it and walk through the steps. That's exactly how I perceive things in my world. As if I get to a place that I'm unhappy or I'm uncomfortable, I go back to where I think it began. Where did my thought shift? Where did my energy change? What event occurred that stimulated where I am now? Because in a lot of cases, it was never about the thing that you're in front of. It started way before that. And it started. Go ahead. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt. You just demonstrated an example, a really powerful and common one, where you interrupted yourself and you said, wait, the concept is getting ahead of me and my words aren't matching.
Oh.
Yeah. So there was some recognition inside you that what was going on up here in your mind and what was coming out of your mouth were off kilter. That there wasn't. So that's a level of self-awareness. And I think a common one that we all practice is when we say things that just don't feel right. Mm-hmm. And it brings up to me what I believe is a very powerful self-awareness tool is witnessing, observing.
Yes.
So you were just doing that just naturally. And I do that, for example, when the other day I was tired and hungry and grouchy, and I was frustrated and getting mad at my wife for nothing she was doing, just because I was in a bad mood. And I heard these words come out of my mouth, like these critical words. And I was able to witness. I wasn't able to stop myself in the moment, but I was able to witness it and saying, what are you doing? And do you mean this? And what's going on? So I had the degree of self-awareness to be able to separate me, the actor, from me, the observer. And it was hard to stop, but eventually I was. And to me, that witnessing and observing is a really powerful way to practice self-awareness, even if you're not quite able to intervene.
Yes.
Because you'll get there.
That's beautiful. And the great thing is that breath is what can take you to that space. That meditation is what can take you to that space. The observer is to how I experience it. This part that Moshe is talking about is that part of you, is that voice that's never changed your whole life. There's a voice that you hear that has been consistent throughout the arc of your experience. And then there's the mind chatter, which has your voice or the person that you're perceiving's voice, and it chatters and it goes all over the place. But that voice that's been consistent through my whole life is, to me, I call that my higher self. I call that my connection to God. That is the greater part of me, that when I tune to that thing, I can tap into stuff that is much clearer and isn't filled and garbled with stuff. But that observer space allows you to see, so that you may still get slammed with stuff initially, but as the observer, you can begin to move it away from you so that you can see it and deal with it. I've said this a lot on the show. The part of becoming conscious is being aware of what's unconscious and making it conscious. That means bringing it into the field of your awareness and deciding whether it's useful or not. So that observer piece is huge, a huge part of self-awareness, because it allows you to look at all of it dispassionately. It allows you to look at all of it without judgment. You just see it, and then you determine whether, what you want to do about it. It doesn't mean you don't have things to clean up about your behavior because you're the observer. It just means that you're observing it, and you can be conscious of how to fix it and correct it, because you may, like Moshe said, there are moments, I have them too, where the trigger happens fast enough, or I haven't eaten in long enough that the trigger happens fast enough that I don't stop my mouth, I don't stop my mouth before it comes out. And then I have to go, that's not, because as soon as it comes out, it goes, and it kind of lands, and you go, oh, that wasn't really what I wanted to do. But the cool thing is that you get to stop and you say, whoa, time out. I just heard what came out of my mouth. Totally not cool. Totally irresponsible. I'm owning it. Here's what I really want to say, and sometimes you can't do that in the moment, but that's just an example of why the observer is important, because we're human. We make snap judgments. We make snap emotional decisions, but that's not the end of the sentence. That's just the beginning.
Yeah, beautiful. As far as growing self-awareness, our bodies are wonderful tools for doing that. So when I work with clients as a coach, I'm often asking, so what's going on in your body right now? And to some, it might be an unusual question, but people get used to it. And it's a powerful way to become self-aware. So one person I was working with would say, well, when I imagine speaking in front of people, I feel this tightness in my gut, or I feel this constriction here in my chest. Mm-hmm. Or when I think about approaching this person with this conflict, this happens or that happens. And if we just, like you're saying, without judgment, recognize what our bodies tell us, our bodies are wonderful informers of our state. And I think that's a great way to grow self-awareness.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And what I would say about that is recognizing that what you're experiencing there, guys, is energy. Remember, we talked at the beginning of in the meditation about the way that the stuff hangs out in our field, the things that we attend to, and they become these clumps of energy. And that's what Moshe is describing. The physical body, you can feel that, in any work situation. You have to confront you have to sit down with an employee about a circumstance, and it causes a reaction in your body, maybe in the middle of your solar plexus. Energetically, there are things that can tell you about that if you're having that clamping down in your solar plexus, you're having a power issue. You, in your self-awareness, are threatened by whatever the situation is, because you're restricting the flow of power through your system. And that's the beauty of self-awareness. You don't have to know all that going into it, but there's so much information that you can get to understand why I'm having that response. And particularly to have somebody brilliant like Moshe, or even myself, who has been there and understands those things, that can say, hey, focus your attention here a little bit and see what you see there. Because it isn't about us telling you, it isn't about anyone telling you your experience. It's about encouraging you to tell you about your experience, so that you define that experience. You use your words, because it's your beliefs and ideas that are generating that reaction. So that's how you get to more self-awareness. You go, oh, look at this reaction I'm having to talk to this employee. Why am I feeling disempowered? I'm the manager. Why do I feel like I can't confront? What is it about this situation? Oh, here it is. This person is doing something that I did when I was that age at that job. And I know why they did it, and I know how they did it. And I never got caught. He did. But that's just one way of becoming aware of it. The desire becomes a power issue, because you're in the moment, you're trying to rectify a past and a present. You're trying to rectify behavior that occurred before and a situation you're in now. And that's the beauty. And you say, wow, that's a lot. And it's, well, yeah, we're confronted with stuff every day. And it's just about, to me, the joy of self-awareness is that you get to understand what makes me do what I do. instead of it being, oh, I'm just doing this cause. I don't want to do a cause thing. I want to be conscious of why I'm here and what I'm doing. And so this self-awareness process is about helping us to do that, taking it to the next level, one step at a time. I've been doing this for 35 years, 35, almost 40 years, the process. And I can't even believe I'm saying that out loud. Because it's just kind of mind blowing, but because but it just gets better. That's the thing about self-awareness is, there's some challenging points where you may see some things about yourself that you don't like or don't feel good about, but that's the beauty is you can change them. But over time, they become release points instead of stress points, because they are now the things that are holding you back, and you see it clearly. So now it's just, let me release this point because I'm looking to go forward, and this doesn't matter anymore. This thing in my way is unimportant to my destination. Anything you would like to bring to this in closing? Because we are already at the end of our hour. Again.
Yes. Yes, that keeps happening. I want to say to your viewers and listeners that every moment is a chance to practice self-awareness, including right now. So right now, check in. You might be feeling excited. You might be feeling frustrated. You might be happy. You might be whatever it is. It is. And the more you check in, the better. And I hope this conversation prompts you to do more checking in with no judgment. Just check in, see what's there.
Beautiful. And if you do have questions or you want to chat about it further, please chat in the chat box. I check all those messages. And if you have a message for Moshe, I will forward it to him. We will respond to you in a timely fashion and let you know what's going on. But thanks everybody for joining us. We got to jump. Have an amazing day, and we will see you next time. Moshe, always a pleasure to be here with you. Looking forward to the next conversation with Moshe. Make sure you check out
Jim. Thank you.
Good to see you, brother. Talk to you very soon. I'll see you on the other side, actually. And we'll see you guys. Have a great one, guys. We hope you enjoyed this episode of Adventures in Truth Livecast. Please like, subscribe, and share. If you'd like to learn more about Jim's book, Fear is a Choice, Unraveling the Illusion of Our Separation from Love, check it out at www.fearisachoicebook.com. Also check out Moments of Truth, a new offering from Adventures in Truth. If you'd like to work with Jim, check out www.thesciencetransformation.com to book a session. Tune in live every Wednesday at 9 a.m. Mountain Standard Time and every Friday, 5 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Or look for our new releases and podcasts every Monday. Until next time, be well, and we'll see you again on Adventures in Truth Livecast.